Hello. We're live. Hello, everyone. It's Leah, Jet, and Josh Warren from Milsim West. And today we are going to be talking about Milsim West, which is qualified as I would say it's the most hardcore Milsim that I know of that happens in the world. In the whole world. You are worldwide.
I would say a bunch of things like that. Yeah. Yeah, I would say a bunch of stuff like that for sure.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, Jet and I just recently attended. Well, actually, let me rewind. So, for those of you that don't know about Milsim West, what it is it is a 40-hour wargaming Milsim game, and it is 40 hours continuous. Players have to go out into the field with everything they are going to use for the entire weekend on their back. You have to basically ruck to a point. You have to be able to carry everything for the whole weekend, and then you also can't leave to go back to the parking lot. You can't leave to go do anything else, or else you're basically out for the weekend. So it's when Jet went to his very first Milsim West, he compared it to a field training exercise that he did in the military. And I would say that is kind of where they hit. So let's talk about the most recent one, which was this past weekend. It was in Clovis at Hill 559. And let's talk about our experiences at this last game.
Okay, well, I'll go first.
Okay, yeah.
So I mostly sat in my truck the whole time.
Nice.
No, I mean, mostly I'm just there as a safety. So I hung out and helped out players who were in trouble and supported the cadre and brought the cadre the things they need, because my job with Brian, as you guys know, behind the scenes is not quite as exciting. But the most interesting thing that happened there is I gave a ride to somebody who had injured themselves but wanted to stay because all their friends had come in their squad.
Oh, yeah.
And so they were like, if you just take me back to where our rucks are, I'll just pull security on the rucks. But I don't want to leave. And then I was like, okay, sure, I'll give you a ride back. They're like, you don't want to leave, but you're not really feeling up for patrolling, but you'll pull security for your friends who you came with, so that's cool. Yeah. And then I got to talking to this guy, and this is our 7th game at this field. And the first game I did this field was I was just explaining to somebody this weekend. They were like, how long have you been doing this for? And I told them I'd been doing it as an amateur for 7 years, and then as a pro for 8. And they're like, what's the difference? And I was like, well, you get paid.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, which is a big difference.
Getting paid
and I was thinking about that experience, and I asked this guy, hey, is this your first event? Because I always ask people that when they need help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To see if it's not obvious, sometimes it's really obvious. Yeah. Yeah. That it's either why they need help or why it's their first event. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, actually, I came to your event here 7 years ago. And I was like, whoa, what have you been doing since then? Yeah. So it was an interesting conversation. He was a cool guy. His name was Brendan. And that is my job. And it was kind of neat because because of a bunch of family circumstances, stuff that I could really relate to, he was busy helping out relatives and couldn't engage in his hobbies for a while. And he was just really excited. Some of those problems were resolved, and he was like, I get to do my hobby again. And it's so cool you're still doing this. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. It's always nice meeting people that have been to your games from a long time ago. I met a dude one time at a DesertFox event who was like, I went to Tim vs. Bob 2 or 1 or something, and I was like, holy cow.
Dang.
Jesus, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, man, glad to see you're still doing games.
Well, I mean, you've been promoting as long or longer than I have.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Not on the scale that you've been doing it. I've been more of just Southern California. And then when we met and decided let's do DesertFox events, that's when it was like, okay, now let's do national sized ones.
Yeah, I had some more experience with other I basically apprenticed for other promoters for a while. So, but we're not explaining what Milsim West is like.
Yeah.
Okay, so
wait, this kid had a question though. Tanner Malpass. I don't know. Tanner said, "Is MSW based out of Oregon?" And MSW is across the United States. We promote in Mexico. We promote throughout Latin America.
Also,
everywhere.
Airsoft Obsessed Dave was on here. Was it really a game at Hill 559 if it didn't rain and flood?
I was so disappointed.
I'm so glad it didn't rain.
I mean, on one hand, I'm
so glad,
pleased, but on the other hand, I'm disappointed.
So on that note, let's go back to talking about the game itself. It didn't rain. So this was, I think, the very first time that it didn't rain at this AO for this Milsim West game.
It's like 2 years consecutive, 2 or 3 it rained.
But it was still, the nights were still very moist and very cold. So we started off the event by the Russians. We got all of our rucks on and we rucked, I don't know, it seemed like forever. we rucked a ways, and it was because we were taking roads. Hill 559 is a really extremely hilly AO.
What do you think? Maybe 2?
I was just walking. I had 2 packs, and my ruck was even heavier than normal. I don't know why. It just was.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a while. I mean,
so it's been a while since at that AO everyone had to ruck as far as they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so Friday night we all got on our rucks. We rucked to our spot. And then we immediately put down our rucks and went to go ambush NATO as they were rucking out into the field. And right there, that broke off a lot of people. I think we had 4 people quit just out of that because they weren't prepared to ruck that whole distance. And then of course, we had to walk over all of those hills the whole way back to ambush NATO. And so that was a pretty cool experience, I think, for the Russians. A lot of militia learned how to PID. Funny story.
Or didn't learn.
Right. We were waiting to ambush NATO, and our militia dudes fired on each other. Not once, not twice, but 3 freaking times in a row. So that was a good learning experience for everyone, I think. But I thought that was really cool. And apparently at the AAR, NATO said that they enjoyed it, getting shot with all of their rucks on. Like, it definitely does bring a whole different aspect to the game when you're trying to have to, like, you don't think about having to, like, what you would do if you're getting shot at while carrying your ruck, because your ruck is like 60 pounds. And so you have to know, like, how to handle that situation.
Well, we should just tell everyone, put your ruck down, then fight. Because
drop your ruck and fight.
In video games, you see people with rucks on fighting.
That's not how you do it.
It's a video game. There's no weight. There's no exhaustion. That stuff is irrelevant in video games.
Typically, I mean, fighting units are not trying to carry their rucks into the fight.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like, in some circumstances where it's like, well, we're going to take terrain and we're going to hold it, then you're going to carry your ruck as close to the point of contact as possible. But, like, you're going to want to drop it well before, I would think.
Yeah. If I would have tried to fight with my ruck on, I would have just laid there. I wouldn't have even done anything because I don't know what it was. My pack was just really heavy that last game. I think it was all my cold weather.
Yeah.
Cold weather gear always adds. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because you got to be cozy, but then, like, it was still cold, like, because Hill 559 is just such a, like, moist area. Like, even if it doesn't rain, it gets so much dew and, like, condensation wherever it is that you're going to still get wet even if it doesn't rain, just because of, like, if your stuff is left outside, if you are out during the night, which you are going to be because you have to be. That's part of it. It's a 40-hour game. So
yeah, the morning dew is
crazy there.
I don't even know. Dave Airsoft Obsessed Dave has just summed it up. Just it's moist in all caps.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
It's always cold there. It can be foggy. The first year we went there, which was my first game as a pro, so to speak, right? Like, it was the first game I'd ever did where I had no other jobs. This was my job and I was doing it. And I think I was NATO commander for that. And I was going from one platoon to another, from one patrol base to another. And I walked in a circle. I absolutely walked in a circle. And I talk a lot of shit. I'm not like the strongest or the smartest or the fastest, but I'm pretty fucking good at land nav. Like, that's one of the things I am most confident in. Mm-hmm. And I got so twisted around. Like, I fell down an embankment. You know what I mean? Like, and then like literally I finally, like after walking for 20 minutes for what should have been 400 meters or something, I see some dudes with their red lights, and I'm like, sweet, here's my guys. And I walk up to them, and I'm like, hey, what's up, dudes? And they're like, hey, didn't you, what? Because it's like literally the guys that I was just like, all right, I'm walking over to first platoon. Walked off into the fucking mist for like 20 minutes, came back all like disheveled and disoriented with tree branches in my butthole. It was like, hey, what's up, fourth platoon? And they were like, no, bro, this is second platoon. You just left. You just told us how you were going to walk over the fourth.
Yeah, on Saturday morning when I woke up to try to make the long walk to the porta potties, I definitely got lost and walked all the way across the field until I found the NATO PB. And then
you're gone for
then I turned around and was like, oh, well, I went too far. Let me turn around and walk back and then find... Yeah, you
were gone for a while.
It was, well, because we walked out into the field in the middle of the night, you know, and we walked on all these windy roads. And so I was like, okay, I just walk this way and I will get there. And it turns out I walked a little too far. I overshot it a bit, my angle.
So going back to the original topic we were on.
What is Milsim West?
Okay,
can I sum it up really quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was in my late teens and early 20s, I was in the 75th Ranger Regiment, and I did a bunch of deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. And it was a really interesting time to be a part of that organization. And it had such a profound impact on my life and the way I viewed like work and a lot of other things related to just like personal ethics related to work since then. And also, I mean, maybe some other more existential topics. But I thought, you know, I'd always loved war games and war gaming, whether it was like reenacting, playing on the tabletop, playing paintball. You know, I didn't really get into airsoft. Airsoft wasn't around until I was in my late teens and early 20s. So I was in the Army, right? Like having the war experience for real. And after a while of just like muddling around after I got back into civilian life, I was like, how could I deliver something that makes it feel like you're part of a fighting unit? Like a unit that has this mission that is greater than your sleep, than your comfort, right? Then whatever shit you're going to talk in the parking lot about the fucking score of the game or whether the other team was cheating. This thing where like when fatigue and endurance become a real issue, even in a silly game, people can see your true character if you're someone that can rise above that.
For sure.
And it makes it like a super, yes, because you can see who's really like, yes, we all know this is a silly game, but it's fucking 2 a.m. and like, it is my job to be in this LPOP right now, or it is my job to be in this decoy PB, right? Or like running whatever tactic I'm running so that other teammates can sleep so that then I can sleep when they fight, you know,
or just being on guard duty in general,
or whatever it is, or when when you're tired and you're exhausted and it's like Saturday and the sun is setting and the squad leader is like, okay, get online up the hill. You're like, yeah, but why not? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want all my friends to think, you know, it's interesting because the guy I was mentioning who seemed to have hurt himself like decently enough that I was kind of following his unit from a couple 100 meters back because I knew there was some action about to develop. And I came across him just sort of laying there in pain and was like, hey, man, you going to walk today? And he was like, I think I just need like a half an hour or something. I'm like, okay, I'll come back this way. Like, I'm going to follow the action and I'll be back. You know, you see my truck over there. I'll be back this way. And if you're still having like distress or whatever's wrong, I can help you out. And it was interesting to me that he was like, no, my social connection with the people that I came here with, but also the people that I've met just now, right, that have gotten me to come out here to make this attack as the daylight dwindles into the darkness. And then it's like, and what sets it apart from everything else. So like everybody uses the hardcore Milsim term. And like, certainly as a realist, I concede like, yes, Milsim West is the hardcore game, but like, obviously, you know, my shtick, which is like, it is Milsim. There is no other Milsim. It's all these fucking airsoft games that people are like, it's a Milsim, but it's not because you're like in a parking lot, you know? And now I get it. Like, you know, sure, technically I'm wrong. Like a Milsim could be fucking picking up cigarette butts and painting rocks and shit like that. But what most people are paying for, of course, is to feel like they're part of a fighting unit, right? So like, if you're part of a fighting unit, there's a different spirit and a different attitude. And like all those memes about like, we have a useless mission aren't as relevant when you're in a, you know, fighting unit. Yeah. So that's what Milsim West is at its core, is to give people like 40 plus hours of you're in a fighting unit that has a higher purpose than slinging BBs. Like, yes, we're slinging BBs and pretend blank bullets.
Yeah, but we've got a meta game. We've got a big meta game. We've got tactics.
Exactly. Like there's goals. Like we're going to dominate our battle space, or if we can't dominate our battle space, we're going to deceive the enemy, or whatever it is. That like actual strategy comes into play because there are real physical comfort costs for losing. So emotionally people, but it's not losing in the sense that like it doesn't matter that much who shot who. Like the individual cheater at a Milsim West game is almost nullified by the group effect.
Right, because like if you lose your sleeping position, then like everybody has to move. Like it doesn't matter if somebody's cheating. Like you're gonna lose your sleeping position anyway, and everyone's gonna have to pack up and move. So.
Yes, and at a certain point, as we know, it does become impossible. Like players who are cheaters will eventually be noticed.
Yeah, and
especially when everyone's laying around them for 5 minutes, just sort of watching them. And it's like, also, I'll probably see you 4 or 5 more times this weekend. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, if you really cheat super bad, like you didn't leave to the hotel.
Yeah,
you're still here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like someone can come find you and be like, "Hey, you're breaking the rules, and you got to go." Like, there's a real consequence because it's like all the stuff that. The things that apply to like a regular event, not just like an airsoft event, but any kind of event like entry, exit control and that kind of thing. Like everybody enters and exits once at Milsim West.
Mm-hmm.
So the staff are fully focused on like the tactical game, the experience of being in a fighting unit, instead of having to worry about like, okay, he's got a yellow wristband, but he's got a blue wristband.
Yeah.
And oh man, Stevie's on the fucking merch table. We got to sell more t-shirts. The burgers are mediocre, so we got to sell fucking t-shirts over here. Meanwhile, I'm not trying to sell any t-shirts, but like that. So that's what Milsim West is. We don't need a fucking t-shirt because the burger is really good.
Yeah. I think like the thing that really drew me into Milsim West at my first games was one, it's like one of the only event companies I know of where you actually get to participate in like company-wide attacks, and seeing that happen was really, really cool for me. Where basically you have everybody on your whole side, whatever side that is, NATO or Russian, all forming up to do one large scale attack together, which you really don't ever see in any other games because everyone is doing like their super special squad stuff. And so I really appreciate that there's really aren't that many or like hardly any cases of like one squad or like one team doing whatever they want while everybody else, or like one squad or one team getting all the cool missions or whatever while everyone else is just doing something else. So I like the whole large scale aspect of it. And it's also cool to learn tactics from people that actually served and were in combat. And I thought that was cool when I first went, because the people that I was learning tactics from would tell me like, okay, so they would a lot of times when cadre are telling you the objective of the game or like what you're doing, they'll give you like little stories of what it was like. Okay, so when I was in Iraq or when I was in Afghanistan, we did this thing, and like this is how we achieved this goal, and so this is what we're gonna do. And that's kind of cool to hear about. Personally, just for me to hear other people's experiences and then be like, oh, so that's why we're doing this. That's cool. Now I like have an understanding of like what's going on from someone that was actually there and like actually lived it, as opposed to like somebody that watched a lot of YouTube videos and like likes to yell at people from the back.
I mean, the major difference in terms of the structure of the game, of course, is the endurance aspect.
Yes.
And because of the endurance aspect, that is why people who have real experience in fighting units have some insight into the tactics and procedures and techniques that are going to be more useful in that sort of a game. So that's really what it's supposed to be at its core. And I think that's for the most part what it is. Although, that's with like any organization, that's with varying degrees of success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, we'll talk about, I guess, our this most recent Milsim West experience. We kind of summed it up. There's a lot of hills, a lot of walking, a lot of going up and down hills. I definitely recommend, if you're going to a Milsim West game, you need to exercise. Yeah, if you're not exercising, it's going to be rough. It's going to be really rough, and you're probably going to be one of the people that quits or wants to quit. But like, seriously, I don't know, for the whole, I knew going into this AO that it was going to be tough because there's all these hills, and yeah, you need to exercise at least for like several weeks leading up to the event. And whether that's like, it doesn't have to be anything intense, but like walking, jogging, like
you gotta be active for like 5-6 weeks at
like
least.
You need to practice lifting something up like after every freaking Milsim
Pack
West
your pack as far out as possible. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about your combat gear. Just think about like, okay, excluding the combat gear that you need, and like maybe any rain jacket or gloves, hat that you're going to keep on your immediate person. You know, like I think well before the event, it's good to say what is going in my long-term sustainment pack.
Yeah.
So that I know what my weight's going to be, and then just load it with you. Because you know what? There's actually, I'll be honest with you. There are, I'm not trying to go too far off into my like neo prepper territory, but there's good reasons for having a pack that you're capable of carrying that has 2 nights worth of sustainment equipment in it for you. Be that food, water, layers, sleeping equipment, shelter, you know, maybe a stove or something like that. Like, that's not a bad thing to just have laying around, you know, depending on where you live. Hell, if you live here in California during fire season, it's probably not a bad idea. No, I mean, I'm not wrong, right? It's like probably not a bad idea to have a very capable vehicle and like your 2-night or 3-night support bag just ready to go, underwear, socks. You know what I mean? Like everything you need in there. I try and keep my bag like that, you know, as regularly as possible, so you can at least just like walk around and practice.
Yeah.
And it's not even about the fact that you're going to carry your bag the whole time. It's about the fact that you're going to carry your bag at various points throughout the event. Like, you know, in a best practices situation, you can expect to move your patrol base every day, every 24-hour period. Like when me and everybody who works at Milsim West are doing our jobs, you know, at what I think is an adequate level, the player is moving their patrol base every single day. Right? Because that's the basic experience of the fighting unit is like, you know, you get what you can carry and you got to be ready to move.
Here's a good question from Brixie of the Dead, who also donated a super chat. Thank you. Nice. Super appreciate that. He said, and by the way, we'll just go ahead and keep taking questions after this. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and drop those in, because I know that that's what a lot of people want to know. He said he's trying to attend his first Milsim game, after MSW game, after 3 dislocations and getting surgery. What's a good amount of water to bring?
Yeah, so if you go to the I would carry exactly what the tax op says, but make sure that is exactly what the tax op says at game start. So what you need to understand is the Milsim West game starts around 9 o'clock on Friday night. So like, you know, there's a lot of airsoft promotions that have like special missions on your Friday nights or your Saturday nights or whatever. So imagine a game that's like that. It just doesn't end. So like you've driven, you know what I mean? Like everybody woke up, you drove, you got in the car, whatever you did. You know, personally, I recommend arriving on the Thursday, even if it's really late on a Thursday night, because you can party with your friends till, not that I've ever done this, but you can party pretty late on a Thursday night with your friends. And, you know, we don't start checking people in till 2 or 3 p.m. depending on the season. You know, usually in winter and spring, it's 2 p.m. In the summer, it's 3 or 4 p.m. even, because there's a lot of daylight, because Milsim West starts in the first period of darkness on the Friday. So, you know, it's important to understand that, like, you may be in the parking lot. You know, if your friends are like, well, we'll show up at noon, which is like what everybody does.
Don't do that.
You're going to be sitting in the parking lot till, you know, I mean, you're going to get your gear checked. You're going to meet everyone you're going to be doing the event with. You know, some important stuff's going to happen, but for the most part, it's going to be like the unfun part of the military. So make sure you have like a sandwich and just water for that you just like leave in your car, throw in the trash bins, so that when you start the event, you have exactly, I think it's like 3 liters is what the tax op calls for. I would recommend going with 4, but 3 liters is probably a good way to start, because we are going to supply you water. In fact, that's me and Brian Clarkson's entire job at the event, is just carting around giant bladders of water to feed everybody. So you don't actually need to carry 2 days worth of water on you. You only need 1 day, which is between 3 and 4 liters, depending on the person.
Yeah, I personally start off with a giant 2 liter, and then I have a
gallon.
A gallon. It's about a gallon.
Yeah,
so our planning measures and we follow the DoD doctrine is a gallon per person per day.
Yeah. So I think it's like a gallon or two, and then I've got a water bottle that's full, and that usually gets me to.
But I wouldn't recommend starting the game like at 9 p.m. You should not walk with more than a gallon. Because a gallon's 7 pounds, 2 gallons is 14 pounds. Like that's why we resupply water. Yeah, that's a big difference. You know what I mean? Like here's this 14-pound thing, put it in your fucking back. It's the water you need to survive.
I think that's a good thing to point out is like Milsim West gives you water throughout there's the medic water, but then they also have these water bladders. So it's a bunch of potable water. So if you need to refill your water Saturday, Sunday, you have the ability to do that. So you don't need to carry water for 3 days on you. You just need to carry water for a day.
You. Dehydration is my biggest fear. So I'm just like, give me the water.
And
I don't
also
care.
whenever you die, you're going to drink 16 ounces of water. You're going to drink a pound of water. You're going to drink 1/7 of your total daily water intake. So if you die 3 times a day, like you're almost halfway through the amount of water you should have had.
Yeah. So if you're thirsty, die a lot.
I saw a really good question from Cameron, but I saw a bunch of other random ones on here too.
It seems like there's a lot of questions pertaining to specifically airsoft gear, like what guns. Honestly, just bring whatever. Just bring.
Yeah, So my suggestion for MSW is to bring the most reliable gun.
Yes.
Bring that gun that is just going to work all the time. Probably bring 2 batteries.
You definitely need 2
I
batteries.
usually will keep my batteries. I'll have 1 in my gun, and then I'll put 1 in my sleeping bag. Like if it's cold, I'll put 1 in my bag with me. Just so that, if I wake up and my gun is like, I can pull that battery out of my underwear. You don't have to put it there. That's just how I like it. Slap it in there and it'll work. But it's not that hard. I mean, you don't need to have a super slick gun setup to be part of Milsim West. The majority of the most important thing for a squad member in a Milsim West is to realize that their squad is the weapon, not them and their BB gun.
Yeah.
And if you have that mindset, then it's like you could show up with a G&G combat machine. You could show up with just a entry-level stock gun, and as long as you're careful and don't use it as a walking stick or use it to catch your fall at any point, or 2-man lift somebody into a 2nd-story window, right?
I'm assuming this is all stuff that you have seen done with.
These are just things that I've done with airsoft.
Okay.
No. I mean, as long as you don't, as long as you treat it like an entry-level airsoft gun, you should be able to play the whole game. It wouldn't be a problem. And of course, if you come to an insurgency event, it's the bar to entry is even lower. You can get a tri-shot shotty and probably be fine.
Heck yeah.
Yes. Because there's enough intrigue, there's enough moments where you're gonna get to be within 5 feet of someone.
Yeah, you'll be having a conversation and just my god,
just double cross. Yeah.
Someone was asking if it's a good idea to bring a drum mag. So when it comes to bringing a heavier type gun, just bring something that you can carry for long periods of time. I think that's the biggest.
Yeah, this last event I saw a guy with an M60 shorty, an M4, a shotgun, and a pistol. And his cadre actually was you can only have 2 of these.
Yeah.
And that's a very relevant thing. It's maybe carrying a backup gun isn't crazy. But if you do carry a backup gun, I would make it something extremely fucking reliable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which your first gun should be extremely reliable.
It should be extremely reliable, but it's if you choose to bring a backup BB gun for any reason, which I almost never do. Sometimes I bring a sidearm. I do try and have a good complement of grenades.
Yeah.
Instead of bringing a 2nd rifle, I would bring 8 grenades instead of 4. You know
also,
what I mean?
there was a good point on Sunday. Say your gun does go down, you could do other things. You could run ammo.
You could be a medic.
You could buddy people. A dude's gun went down.
There's plenty of shit to do, and usually somebody has something to let you use. But if you already had 8 grenades on you,
now you're just a grenadier.
Yeah, you can literally just follow the rifleman and solely focus. And honestly, when you're solely focused on using one system,
the game will be.
You might get better results. You might get better results if you're just looking for those grenade shots. You know what I mean? So I saw a couple different MSW questions on here. Can I answer those?
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw somebody asked is Guardian Centers for sure. As yes, I mean, like, as for sure as shit gets in Airsoft, like we're communicating with their staff. They're trying to schedule us for something. It looks like they're open for business for Airsoft again, because obviously, you know, John Lou's already done an event there. AMS just did an event there. I'm pretty sure Third Coast is going to do an event there really soon here.
So why wouldn't it be?
Well, no, I mean, they have our info. They're trying to schedule us. I'm trying to go later in the year. They kind of have a weird scheduling thing right now where they're saying they can only schedule people between 60 and 90 days out because of their training schedule. But I'm hoping maybe I can get some time around the holidays or something in December so that I don't have to like run the game on a 60-day notice. But I saw somebody else ask what's up for the future with MSW. So this year we're going to add a super hardcore format. I think that's like the future of MSW. What you can see
even more hardcore.
Yeah, what you can see for all the Force on Force games this year is probably just for the difficulty level to be more standardized across the board so that they more resemble games we ran 3, 4, 5 years ago, where there's a lot more movement involved, a lot more maneuver. But also we're looking to add an extra hardcore game. We have a new venue we're about to announce in the Dallas area for a Memorial Day event. In the Texas, Oklahoma area. It's like right between Oklahoma City and Dallas. It's really big. It's a 6 square mile facility with a couple lakes, some rivers, forests, trails. There's a bunch, not like huge structures. There is like a 30,000 square foot shoot house that's like 2 or 3 stories. There's some towers, some cabins, some hunting stands. You know, nothing like, it's not like a mouth site, but it does have some structures.
Cool.
And certainly one big structure, you know.
Yeah.
So there would be some CQB action in it. So we're looking forward to that. You know, we've never done a game in Texas. Texas obviously has a really big Milsim oriented community.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm super excited for that.
Yeah. And it's growing.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully, I mean, we're trying to return to Mexico as soon as possible, but that might not be stable until like next year because the situation there, you know, politics are different all over.
Yeah.
And so like every nation is sort of like recovering from this crisis at different rates and with different slants and definitely it varies from state to state and country to country.
Yeah, for sure.
So as soon as that looks like it's going to be smooth sailing, these guys are laughing because we've had to postpone a joint event that we all had.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's something for later, but certainly you can expect to see Force on Force games in the US get the difficulty upped and a new ultra hardcore format that's going to be a lot more challenging, that's going to have a lot more opportunities to learn and kind of do stuff that's even closer to real military tactics.
Cool. Yeah. A good question that I saw asked was, if I can find it, I memorized it, but I can't remember who asked it. Aaron Kane asked, what do the 3 of you eat during an MSW? Because I know a lot of people do like MREs. That's not really our thing.
Can I say my favorite meal? Okay. So here's what you need to do. You go to Walmart. Okay. You get Barilla dried cheese tortellinis. Right? Okay. They're like dry shelf stable cheese tortellinis.
Okay.
You get like a hard sausage, like a spicy salami or pepperoni from the deli section. Right. And then like maybe get like some sun-dried tomatoes, or if you want to be really sneaky about it, get like, you know, they always have a make your own pizza section somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Get the little squeeze bottle of pizza sauce. It's like basically the same, or get the tiny little bottle of like tomato puree, but then you got to get, you know, all your spices and shit. So it's easier to just get the one thing and make like cheese tortellini and red sauce.
Man,
yeah,
you're doing this in a field
in a jet boil. In a jet boil, it's all one. You know what I mean? It's
just
all
dump it all in there.
You start with so you put the Barilla brand dried cheese, not sponsored. God, I wish they should fucking sponsor me. To be honest, the cheese, you put the dried cheese tortellini in there. You do it in the water. A lot of the water reduces anyway. So if you didn't pack a red sauce in, you could mix like dried mushrooms or like dried onion. You know what I mean? Like you can get dried vegetables.
How long does this take to make?
Not that long. Think about it, because you just got to bring the pasta to a boil.
Okay, but how long is that? Is this like a 5-minute, 10-minute?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like 20 minutes. But it's like you're gonna get a 20-minute.
No. I mean, you're gonna. There's a lot more downtime to
like
eat.
at some point you're gonna be like, okay, we're not doing shit for a while. I have an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Definitely. Yep.
So and then you just put the, like you drain the water or mix it in with other stuff, whatever you want to do. Add your red sauce or whatever you want to add. Just eat it right out of the jet boil, and that's all you need.
Dang.
All right.
Yep.
Do you want to say what you eat?
Yeah, but I don't even know if they're available anymore.
Well, besides that, you eat like you get like the Spam packets and like Vienna sausage. Those are really easy. Or like the tuna packets, the like single serving tuna packets. We usually do those for like a lunchtime meal.
Yeah,
they're like seasoned.
Yeah, this last game they didn't have the normal Pace ready meal packets that we usually get at Walmart, so I just opted to get like some canned beef stew and chicken and dumplings and stuff. So that's why that's also another reason why my
canned food adds weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what we normally like to get are in Walmart or in whatever.
This is all based around Walmart.
Like, well, yeah, I guess it's not Walmart.
So it's like you show up in a place and because it's like reliable. It's like in a foreign country, Walmart. Yeah.
So we try to buy a lot of places, or there are some like pre-packaged meals that are microwavable, that are like steam in the bag, or like you can just put it in the microwave. And so we will buy those ready-made meals and put them inside of our like little camp stove and just boil them in that and like smush it up so you get all the heat.
You need
it. Yeah, need it, not smush it up. You need it so that like the heat gets distributed, and then like you have like kind of a whole meal. So we would get like pasta or like chicken and dumplings or like stroganoff or something like that. And those are usually pretty good. And they don't add a lot of weight like what soup cans do.
Yeah,
the cans, as much as
and having already hydrated food in some circumstances, you know what I mean, because you're already carrying water.
I don't like doing the Mountain House stuff, just because like there's this like weird fine line between like mush and food. This tastes like actual food.
You gotta know that,
and it's really hard to get to that one spot of perfection.
You ain't wrong.
Well, and they like, you have to boil the water, and then you have to pour it in, then you have to wait 10 minutes, then you have to like.
Actually, what's another hot move? Just from the gourmet jet boil. Okay, so you need a jet boil for this.
Yes.
Okay, so the day of the Milsim West, you go to the store, you get like whatever the budget lobster tail is. They're kind of smaller. Get one of those. Throw that shit in the jet boil with some water. You're fucking golden, baby. You eat lobster tail. I mean, it's not. You just put it in a Ziploc.
Yeah.
Right. Put it in a Ziploc.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Maybe throw some ice in there if you're worried about it going bad in like the time frame between when you step off that night and when you're like, I deserve it.
Now, should I butter it in the field, or should I butter it maybe before the game?
I actually get the butter spray.
Ooh,
for the field. Yeah. For the field, you get that butter spray because there's no way to keep like the dirt out of the butter. Yeah. So you get the spray because then you can bring like bread's not a bad move. It gets crushed.
All right, we better see somebody do all of these recipes.
Yeah, who's
post it on social media and make sure to tag Josh and
who's bringing lobster tails to the next.
I want to see a seafood restaurant at the next Insurgency.
I mean, you could also vacuum pack pizza.
I mean, you could vacuum pack. I mean,
you could literally order a pizza like Friday. You know what I mean? Like have a pizza delivered to the parking lot and just like throw it in some gallon zip. And like it's still going to be good Saturday night.
Pouches.
Yeah.
Well, you don't even have to get that crazy with it. Like, is Pizza Hut still good 2 days? Like Pizza Hut exposed to basically, chilly temperatures. Is it still going to be good?
There's also plenty of people that get like McDonald's and like just buy a bunch of those like double cheeseburgers and just carry them and eat them the whole weekend, because like we all know we've seen the like studies. McDonald's doesn't go bad ever. So like you can eat it all weekend.
I mean, you can get as crazy as you want with it.
I mean, some people do that. Not my jam, but
I mean, I definitely think the most important part is to have like I try to have like one meal a day that's like I am going to sit and prepare this meal and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then I try and have like maybe two other things that resemble a meal that it's like, I'm going to smash this in my maw just like whenever I get 3 minutes. Or I'm going to eat it very slowly while chatting. But, like either way, like I could smash it down if I needed to real quick.
Yeah. Snacks are a big sustainment.
Snacks are going to be really key.
Big sustainment for
and like high energy snacks.
Ooh, yeah. Pudding cups. I do those too.
Yep.
Somebody just put that in there. Okay. If We've got about 5 more minutes of our stream left. So if you guys have any more questions, please throw them in there and we will try to get to as many as possible in the next 5 minutes. And then we're going to go eat.
McChicken does not have a shelf life.
McChicken does not?
Yes, somebody just mentioned.
Yikes.
Oh yeah, peanut M&Ms. That's also a good snack because M&Ms don't really melt.
Oh
yeah,
and peanuts give you energy.
Yeah, high energy foods is definitely the way to go. I'm a big ramen fan too, obviously. And if you want to dress it up like dried mushrooms, there's usually dried mushrooms somewhere in the spice aisles or something. You know, like dried mushrooms, Spam slice, and like a regular ramen. You know, those are like all easy things.
Yeah,
and it doesn't weigh a lot because the water. You know, if you're consuming water that's already in your water supply through your food, that's fine too. So
yes, I'm a fan of doing that.
But so that's what separates I mean, like that's yet another thing. There are many things that separate Milsim West from like regular airsoft games because obviously Milsim is this marketing term that has come to mean any airsoft event that is a Friday through Sunday.
Yeah,
literally any event, doesn't matter what it is.
True. Yeah,
doesn't matter the level of intensity, the complexity. The theme, the uniform standards, none of that, like, right. So, but this is definitely one of those ways because it's like you don't think about, you know, other games. It's like maybe you pack a cooler, you go back to the truck, you make your overlander lunch or whatever.
Yeah, all the sustainment stuff is secondary, and it's really funny to see that mindset between players.
I like seeing those kits where it's like there's the kit with like the plate carrier with the fake plates with like 2 or 3 guns in the case with like 13 magazines, you know, with like everything is like with a secondary weapon, you know what I mean? Like everything is like focused for fucking athletic performance, you know, and Milsim West is in a different way because like that athletic divider is endurance. It's like your ability to 19 hours later still jump up and get online with your squad with the same like
the same pep you had Friday.
Yeah.
Because
whatever your ability is,
yo, get online, and everyone goes,
yeah. That's really what it is.
Hang on, hang on.
Give me a second.
I had to drop my other saw back there, but I've still got the one with the grenade launcher. But I just need 5 minutes.
Well, but at basically every airsoft game that is called a milsim, like a strategy of having a locker full of extra guns in the parking lot. Well, that's only like 400 meters away.
Yeah,
whereas in a Milsim West event, like the parking lot might be 40 minutes away on foot, you know, by day 1. And then like, by day 2, it might be even further depending on the venue, depending, you know.
It was definitely way further day 2 of last game.
I think another important thing for anyone who has any questions that don't get answered, or if you have questions just about like gear or
a bunch of people have actually mentioned that,
or anything.
That backpacking gear.
Oh yeah.
Like if you have done any backpacking, if you understand the backpacking hobby, then that's going to translate easily to Milsim West.
Yes, for sure. Because all of that stuff is meant to be lightweight and yeah, for sure. What I was going to say is if you have any questions about like gear, guns, etc., a really good resource and packing, a really good resource that everyone needs to read. And this is something that you will get told by everyone. You need to read the tax up. And that is something that's provided by Milsim West. It's available to everyone. You can download it. And that is probably the most important thing you can do if you are planning on attending your first Milsim West, or if you're planning on attending Milsim West in general at all. Read the tax up or you will get roasted.
Yeah. You can also watch a bunch of Leah and I's videos too.
Yeah,
we cover a lot of stuff in our videos, and you can kind of see.
I mean, I know you've done a live packing video, like
I've got like a step-by-step packing video.
You guys have pretty much like noob proof, like every
try.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like a lot of the stuff that you need to know, you guys have covered.
Yeah, just watch all of Jet and I's videos, and you'll be so prepared for Milsim West.
Or you'll be really hyped to go to
do it while like on a treadmill or something.
Cameron. That's Cam, right?
Yeah.
That's got it.
Internal or external frame rucks.
Just get a ruck that's comfortable.
Yeah, just get one that's comfortable for you. It doesn't matter.
See, like this is when it gets too. A lot of people get too much into the minutia of like a certain thing,
for sure,
and you kind of completely forget like, well, what actually matters? Like, I want to bring 6 guns. Well, what actually like which gun do you really want to play with? Just bring that gun.
That one.
Do I need an internal or external? Skeleton for my ruck, like just
it doesn't matter.
What can you even afford?
One
of those ones at this given time. Like there's so many other little things. Just keep stuff in generalization. You can get into more specifics once you cover all just your regular bases of like, oh, okay, I need a sleeping bag.
I have a sleeping bag.
It might be cold. Maybe I should get a cold weather sleeping bag, or maybe I should get something else to help me at night. One thing that I've been doing lately is I have I've kind of a normal sleeping bag. I think it's rated for below 30. But I also bring a whoopee or the poncho liner that you get issued, and I just put that over me, and that helps a bunch with the cold. Yeah. And it's something that's very simple.
Space blankets.
Blankets.
Yeah.
I bring a space blanket.
You definitely
as like a ground.
Being warm will be incredibly clutch for you. Trust.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of people that come to Milsim West games that think that they're ready, and they're like, oh no, I'll just tough it out. Like, those people always quit.
I'll never sleep.
Yeah, those people always end up quitting, and they're, like, completely miserable, and they don't have fun because, like, they didn't prepare. So, like, don't be one of those people, for sure. All right, cool. That's been 45 minutes. Let's wrap it up. Any last words from anyone?
I don't think I could possibly talk any more shit than I already have. Yeah.
I think that's always possible.
All right.
All right. If you're interested in attending a Milsim West game, visit milsimwest.com. You can go to look at the events. They are all over the nation. So for everyone that was like, Milsim East, Milsim Midwest, it's everywhere.
Misconception.
Yeah,
it's not just the West Coast. It's across the entire nation.
Yes.
Find a game near you, milsimwest.com. If you want more information, like regarding equipment, rucks, and other techniques, you can, give Leah and I a follow. We post very frequently from the games and give kind of tips too. And you can see a lot of the equipment that we use also in the field.
Yeah, and we have tons of videos from Milsim West games. So if you're interested, like, watch any one of our billion playlists of 500 million videos. All right, cool. Let's go eat. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for watching.